Everyone could please rise for the
For
Pledge of Allegiance.
allegiance.
To the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
That was a good segue right into the pledge. I
Yeah.
like that.
Perfect. No, we could have planned that better. Well, good, it's 6:30, it's Thursday, May 2nd. Is it a first day of spring, or a first day it's not raining, or a first day of something, right?
It's
Anyway,
just another long day in the litany of rain.
I had 22 out of 30 days it rained in April. Not that I'm doing the weather report now, but you're right. I should acknowledge this is the last meeting for Peter. Unfortunately, Peter had other arrangements, other commitments to go to. But we want to acknowledge the 10 years that Peter put into the planning board. It's not an easy thing to do. And we thank him for his service. Kristen, this is your last 5 meetings, right, or 4 meetings?
5? 4. Oh, 4.
Seems like 100, I know.
Seems
but,
like a lot.
yeah.
You guys,
We
you have a lot of
We
business.
thank you for filling in
Word.
in the lurch when we needed you. It's been very pleasant to have you on the board, and thank you for your service as well.
Thank you.
Okay, having said that, now I get to be mean again. Okay, board business. Public input, anyone want anything? Anybody got anything?
Sits here for the Fort Pond Hill Road one
All
at
right.
7, so.
Board update, May 23rd retreat, are we still doing that?
We're on, like
We
Donkey
are.
Kong.
So one of the things that I wanted to just quickly go
Want to
through
shoot
with
bills
everybody
and
was
payroll back while we're doing,
a copy of,
while we're hostage to Anna? Could I have a pen too, please, by the way?
here you go. So this was the draft of the proposed agenda for the retreat back in November. I don't think that the big items have necessarily changed in terms of what we would talk about. You know, obviously the content might change a little bit, but if you all have any thoughts, because we want to give this to Maren so she can put forth a final agenda, so, you know, our role, our conduct ethic, commitment, engagement, communications, talk about residential.
5 hours?
Well, 3 hours is what I would propose.
It says 5, a
Well,
snack.
I know, but that was in
snack and
November.
meal. All right. Will alcohol be served? 1 snack, 1 meal?
Well, that was going to be a question. Do we choose to go to one of our town-owned buildings, or do we want to go to a dining establishment?
I thought we were gonna do it at the fire station. No, the police
Light
department.
water.
Light and water? I had a 50-50 shot at one of them.
And you still blew it.
Yeah. I thought we were gonna do it at Light and...
Fire station.
What?
Like, you get a better meal at the fire station.
I'm sick of chili, though. Anyway,
Okay, so fire station.
I believe that's...
If it's available,
Day,
23rd.
23rd, hang on.
Okay, so that's one part of that. And then in terms of the moderator, wanted to ask whether or not we can go ahead and have a discussion about one person who was recommended. The original moderator that was here for the Board of Selectmen meeting isn't available. And so Robert Hartz, who is somebody who does professional moderating and other type of organizational work, would be available. And I just wanted to see if that was okay with the board.
Do you care who referees?
Appears to be qualified.
We don't care.
Okay,
This is
all right.
it's your bat, your ball, your
Continue
game,
with
and your
this
ballpark.
discussion. Okay. All right,
Are
thank
you done?
you.
You done?
Is there a
Yes.
fee involved?
Is there a fee involved? Yes, it would be the same fee that we paid for the other moderator for the Board of Selectmen.
We have that in the budget.
we don't know. No, we don't have that. It would have to come through town administrator's office.
Do we have the
Just wanna make sure
permission to
that we
do
can-
this, by the way?
That's all, make sure the funds are good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
okay
what
with
we're
we
talking
select, I just wanna make sure it's.
All right.
Yeah, so before anything is done, I will confirm with Anthony if it's doable
Okay.
that way. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Minutes, anybody have any issues with February 7th or March 7th
April 4th.
or April 4th?
So on February 7th, there was an item on page 5 that I think should be changed because it's a vote. So under King Street on page 5, February 7th, it says the vote was 4 in favor, was actually 3 because Peter was recused at that time.
Okay, I'll correct that.
No, it wasn't, had to be 4. It was a special permit, it has to be 4.
So which item? Was it King Street?
King Street.
You're talking about the senior housing, right? Had to be 4 of us. All 4 of us voted in favor. Peter was the only one who recused himself. Because if it was 3, then we didn't
get the special permit.
then they wouldn't have gotten the special permit.
Yeah, it was.
It was a 4
It was 4 of them.
Yeah.
Why, who voted against it?
Nobody, it was a 4 vote.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You can put down that I voted against it, then I'm okay with that.
Well, it actually says 1 opposed, Montanari.
No, it was
That's,
4.
that's not it. I didn't oppose it. Which draft, what are you looking at?
So I'm looking at the draft from behind King
Yep.
Street, so it continues, and right here. So that's why I was questioning it.
No, it's off, where it was 4, all of us. We all voted in favor. I voted for.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
All right,
I would, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, I just wanted to make sure it was reflected accurately in the minutes.
4-0, 4-0. Okay. Other than that, everything else is good?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 7th, March 7th, and April 4th with edits suggested.
So,
Hold on, so that was the February 7th, right?
not that easy.
So so in March, this is just a question, it's a question really, well, you know what, Peter's not here, so it's fine.
Okay.
Because he would have to be the one to clarify it, so.
In April?
In April, on page 8, Kristen had brought forward information from the master plan to include for the discussion.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And that, I didn't read that in the minutes, but I remember you brought it up, so should that be included?
I think it should be, yeah, that would be great.
The one that was on the white paper?
Yeah.
Okay, so the white paper is part of the attachments that goes.
Oh, it
that
is,
will be
okay,
on
great, then
these.
we're good.
Good. Okay, so now can we vote?
Motion's been made.
Do you
Second?
think, well, actually, I'm sorry. Do you think, Maureen, you could actually add that in the text of the minutes, though? Just to mention that I did state, and the board agreed that those particular sections of the master plan,
Mhm. Yeah,
or that the application meant that.
happy to do that.
Thank you.
We good now?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of the plans as amended for February 7th, March 7th, and April 4th?
The minutes.
The minutes, I meant. Signify by saying aye. Okay. Littleton Station area, next steps?
So we had the April 5th and 6th input sessions. Judy's still working on survey questions. We were hoping to have them out already, but they are not yet available, to a set of 3 surveys. And then, so there's a working group meeting next Wednesday, if we have enough people. Mark, are you available for
Yeah,
next Wednesday?
next one's in, okay.
Great, so that'll be good.
You know that I'm not.
Yeah.
What time is it? Just
at
remind
5
me.
o'clock?
Just remind me, yeah.
Yeah, Cindy said she was available, so it
Okay.
sounds like we'll have it sounds like we'll have enough people to get something accomplished. And then at the June planning board meeting, Judy's scheduled to give us an update on where she is in the study and the results to date, and again, next steps. how we're gonna get to the end of the project. And then the same meeting, we have the opportunity to hear from MassDOT on the Rail Vision program that they have, study that they've been working on, the statewide Rail Vision. Littleton Station is highlighted as one of the key stations in that. It's a long, multi-year study. What could they do with the T if they had unlimited funding, kind of question. But it's really interesting. I thought it would be a good tie-in to have them come and talk to the board. Selectmen are interested as well. So we're
Okay.
going to see if it can't be a joint meeting, if that works, if that schedule works.
Okay.
That would be good, to have the select board here to hear what's being proposed while we're here. The June meeting, that'll be the new members' first meeting as well.
Was there a good turnout?
There was a very good turnout Friday evening, a little lighter Saturday morning, but that's not unexpected. But I saw a lot of new faces that hadn't been involved in anything yet. And then some of the same olds, and some people that were, some of the people that were able to bring information from the master plan and the process that they had been through already.
As Maren said, the younger, or the most exciting part was seeing younger families there.
Mhm. It seemed like it was a lot of residents were represented there.
A good mix of everyone.
Yeah,
Good.
seemed to me.
So we have the meeting for May 16th. Now, unfortunately, I just found out I will not be there. I have a charity fundraiser in Boston on the 16th, and I have a conflict, so I won't be there. But everyone else, you'll bring me up to speed, I'm sure.
We will.
Yes, I'm sure
I
you will.
actually have a quick couple of comments on form-based
Oh,
code.
do you want to talk about it now, or you want to wait? You want to talk about it now?
No, whenever I have the opportunity, though.
Okay. Then we have town meeting on May 6th. We have one article that I just have to get up and say that we've held a public hearing, unless you want. Are you going to be there?
Yeah, town meeting.
Yeah.
I will, but I'll be in a arm brace and having surgery next.
You can't get up and say, yeah, we had a public meeting and this is what we, I'll do it. It's
I can do it. I'd be happy.
No, I'll do it. I don't.
Okay.
Right, so the report to town meeting is.
You'll give it to me there?
Well, it's in your packet there.
It gives you time to rehearse your
Yeah,
presentation.
so that's the only thing we have. That's
Right, and Corey is prepared to
Yeah, as well as
show the
Chris.
maps and answer any detailed questions.
Okay, so that's everything for this, right? We're good with this? All right, I have a little bit of board business that we need to discuss before we start the regular meeting. We got a letter from the selectmen about Cooper Farm. The host agreement for Cooper Farm, we need to talk about it now because will be coming before us. They are very upset, I guess to put it mildly, and I should give you guys all, maybe copies to give to everybody, didn't you? The fact that the house has still not been turned over. So, we all have a letter for it, so they're, this was from Chairman Paul Glavy. They're writing to advise the Plnbrd that the HCA remains in full force and effect, and that the covenants of this property became due as soon as M&M Realty obtained their last permit, which they already have. So basically what they're trying to, well, you guys can read it for yourself. They want a clear message. They really don't want anything done with M&M Realty Trust until such time as that property is transferred over to us. They promised us 2 years ago to turn it over.
Well, I think in fairness, in our agreement, we gave them 24 months with the house to be used as a real estate office or a construction office. Now, I would argue that I don't think it's been used as either a real estate office or a construction office in the 24 months that we granted them. However, at this time, the 24 months, either way, has expired.
Right.
So, from the date that we granted, we didn't say at the end of their last permits, it was from the night of the meeting that we had. We gave them 24 months from that date. We didn't specifically state, oh, we'll wait till you get your Board of Health approval or your CONSCOM approval. So,
They're basically asking.
I agree with the select board's demand, because I also feel that at this time, and in other meetings, we've heard from M&M Realty that, in April of 2019, the house would be turned over, so that was always my understanding as well.
So they're asking us not to really do anything with M&M until such time as they live up to their agreement. That's what the gist, as you can read, the gist of this letter implies. So I'm just making us aware of it because we still have business to do with them, and we have to figure out what we want to do about that. But I think we should send a strong message that it's enough. This has been, you know, and it's anything we can do to solidify the selectmen's position and that approach, I think we should do.
It was just that there was two different agreements, and I think the HCA is the legally binding document that they signed onto. Our agreement, however, was more of a verbal conversation in a meeting.
Right.
April 6th of 2017, I believe.
Well, you heard when the selectmen were in front of us that they were confused because they thought they were getting it before April 6th, but they could live with April 6th, I mean, April of 2019, and then when it hasn't happened, it's just another reason, so.
And they haven't come back with any formal request to do anything yet, right? It's just, it was a kind of
It's-
preliminary, let's see what you think.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
So what is the appropriate next step?
well,
I think the next step is really between the select board and M&M Realty, and hopefully they can resolve the issue. If the issue isn't resolved and they come before us, I think we'd need town council's advice at that point. So, that's my opinion. I think
That sounds
Good.
like a good idea to me.
Sounds like.
I just want to add, you used to work in the city of Newton, and if there was any outstanding issues in the city of Newton, i.e. if you owed taxes or something outstanding, they wouldn't hear anything from you. They wouldn't even let you bring in a building permit. So I think, I'm not saying.
Right, and that was the city of Newton's position, and they had a legal team of 12 lawyers that worked in City Hall.
We have one. I'm just saying that,
Well,
Yeah.
so if legally it can be done, and that's the unified front that we're gonna present, then I'm okay with it. I just wanna make sure that
I think if it becomes an
legal.
issue, obviously we have to make sure that we're on solid ground.
I support the select board's
Yeah.
position, and I think our position is the same, if not similar, and
We'll just make sure
that we can do it.
Correct. We want to keep ourselves out of any more litigations if we can avoid it. Okay, perfect. So we have a 6:50 Durkee. No one's here for Durkee, or?
They'll be here.
We have form-based code to talk
Yeah.
about.
All right, you want to do that?
Sure, just real quick. So, wanted to say that for the for the May 16th meeting, 6 to 8 p.m. at the fire station community room, UTIL will be here for our form-based code teach-in, and we have been promoting this around town to residents, to property owners, business owners, thanks to Marin, and then also for staff, relevant staff within town as well to be able to attend. Wanted to also mention that we have a conference call with them next Tuesday to make sure that we're all ready for that particular workshop, and where they will share the research that they've been doing, so we're looking forward to that. And if anybody would like to sit in on that call, it's on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. And then finally, the AIR Planning Board on April 9th heard the preliminary, or heard about their preliminary draft for form-based code. So here's what their draft looks like. It's about 25 pages. It's currently in review, and they're going to be discussing form-based code at their next meeting, and then taking it to their special town meeting on June 10th.
Do you have just one?
I can make more. It was just a bunch of color, and I had enough trouble as it was, but Mara can probably make more for all of us, too.
Very nice.
And I think, Maureen, you had, I think you had us copied on an email about thinking about a potential grant again, and which I think is a great idea. Yeah.
Good segue.
So I think that's a great idea. I think you also mentioned looking into transfer of development rights. So I think that would be a really good time to include that in the grant too. And also, when including that, to think about, does the town have the capacity, or should we try to figure out a way for the town to have the capacity to be the holder of the development rights? So that we don't have to wait, if that's what the town wants to do and implement the transfer of development rights, that we don't have to wait for, you know, a property owner in the sending district and a property owner in the receiving district to match up and find each other and make it work, and so that the town can actually be the holder of those rights and be able to sell them and purchase them or buy them at any point in time, so that it's more fluid. The other thing I think it would be good to add in is to make sure that there is a study about the feasibility of the transfer of development rights. So depending on how much development you want to see in a certain area, and let's say you want to have a type of mixed-use zoning, how much do you want to happen? And then is it too much of a burden financially to require someone to purchase the development rights and get what you want? So trying to figure out how to, I guess doing test pro formas with those calculations mixed in would probably be a good idea to include in the scope of work.
Okay.
And exciting, it's also exciting because the state is supporting both form-based code work and transfer of development rights work right now.
It's perfect timing.
Yeah, it is good timing.
We talked about that 10 years ago with Don McIver, remember? About buying the development rights all along Great Road at one time.
Right, this is the transfer, so this is the purchase and sale. You buy one piece to
Right.
develop it, you buy a separate piece to develop it.
Right, and that's what they were talking about there, taking all the developments out of there.
Well, but that would have been the town funding. This is a
Right.
developer
Developer's
funding,
funding, right.
so that they can,
Well, that's sort of what Concord did years ago. When they, I forget what subdivision they did. But they bought it and then bought the development rights to all the housing right beside the prison and put affordable housing over there. So rather than have it over where they wanted it, they put it over at the prison. They bought the rights over there and put it over there.
yeah, and Groton has the recent success with the redevelopment of, in their common area, the hotel.
Did they use transfer of development
They
rights for
did.
that? They did.
Yeah,
Is there something you wanted to pass out for that one?
yeah. It's, just have one copy of the grant announcement. You've seen that already. So anyway, we're trying to pull together a grant application. The maximum is $50,000, and it's due end of May. So I think we can get there. We'll present to the selectmen for their authorization to apply, probably the May 22nd meeting. And then two other things that are planning related that are going on. We had a stormwater team meeting Tuesday morning for all the MS4, the EPA, new EPA requirements for the current stormwater permitting. And the town's gonna, the planning board is gonna need to start requiring the stormwater permits for activities that disturb more than 1 acre. We have the bylaw in place now, we have the regulations in place. Just for new applications, we'll need to start moving forward with that. The water department was the first application that we got. And then the other one is the 5G technology, the small cell technology. The light department is working on standards because it's technology that would go on existing utility poles or perhaps on the side of a building, once built out, gets a little bit, gets started. So they're working on aesthetics, technical and aesthetic standards, so it's important for the town to get those in place early on, and then if we need to do a general bylaw for 5G.
Isn't that an extension of our cell tower bylaw? Don't we need to add it in there?
I wouldn't if we only put it in zoning, then you're not gonna catch it, because then your zoning doesn't extend to the right of way. through the streets,
Well, it's
so.
part of it's for cellular communication.
Yeah, but the right of way is controlled by the selectmen, right? Or
Right away is controlled by the selectmen, and well, and it's
and it's
zoning
not
doesn't.
zoning.
Well, we've always maintained in our bylaw that it should go in municipally owned property first. That's the heart of our bylaw.
Right, but this is a whole different animal. And the FCC regulations are circumventing local oversight. So we've got a couple minimum recommendations on what to do. And the light department is taking on the big chunk of it with the technical and aesthetic requirements now. And keep working with town council and their council on, Light and Water Council on whether or not we need a general bylaw to address 5G small cell installations. So anyway, those are the other fun things that have been.
I still don't-
Are there other
Happening.
towns that have already done that? Do you know?
The light department was working with a consortium of a bunch of local utility. And they have a consultant that's working with them on that. I don't know exactly which towns it was, but that was one I didn't need to know.
Well, so if it becomes a general bylaw, and then the select board can name the water department as the authorized licensing or permitting authority, right?
Right. The town council does not recommend it be a zoning bylaw because
It's not
the
right away.
FCC is making it impossible to enforce
Mhm.
through zoning.
The only problem with that is if there's any fee involved, the Light and Water Department, the town won't get a shot at like we did for the open space and everything
If there's a
else.
fee involved, maybe our rates will go down.
Okay, I thought we were keeping it the same as it was.
Mr. Chair, somebody notified me that the feed isn't working for the meeting, so I don't,
It's not working on Verizon.
It doesn't, Verizon is not gonna work. They haven't come to
It's-
repair.
It is working on Comcast.
thank you.
Verizon is down. Verizon has not come to make the repair.
So there you go, for
Okay.
any Verizon watchers.
Oh yeah, by the way, town elections are this Saturday,
Next
Saturday, excuse me.
town meeting is Monday.
Yes, that's right, next Saturday, get out and vote early and often. Thank you.
Come to town meeting on Monday.
Okay, so we're done with board business, we're ready to open up. Okay, we have a 650 Durkey Farm Estates, K Estates.
It's an A and R for lot 30 and 31 Fur Lane, lot line revision plan. Endorsed lot releases number 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18 on Spruce Street.
This is the same plan that was posted. No changes since the one that you posted?
Nope. I am here if you have any questions.
I have a question, before we even talk about this. We've been asking you for a while about revisions to the detention ponds, because they're not detention ponds, they're retention ponds. They have been for a couple of years now. I'm inclined not to do anything, and I'm just speaking for myself right now, I'm not talking for the rest of the board yet, to do anything until you guys come back and show us new drainage and fix the drainage that's out there before we keep moving forward. We're not gonna wait till the end of the project to find out what's going on with that.
Yeah, understood. So we did meet with Chris Stoddard on site, probably 2 weeks ago at this point, 2.5 weeks ago, to discuss what's going on with basin number 3. 3 is the one at the intersection of Balsam and Fraser. The one that has a little bit of water in it and has for some time. Given the weather that we've had, the wet April, we're getting into March right now, realistically reconstruction's tentatively scheduled for June. So as soon as it dries out, we're gonna pump it down, just like we did originally for reconstruction going into the summer months to allow it to stabilize. So we're in process and we're trying to do it. We're just waiting for Mother Nature to cooperate.
I understand it's been a wet April, but that's not the only area we're talking about. They're all like that. The field that was supposed to dry out has never dried out. Just, there's an issue with the drainage out there. And to say that you're just gonna muck out a couple of detention ponds, I don't think is the only answer out there. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think that's the only one. And I know we've been hearing this for 2 years, and, you know, while we still have a few lots left to release and everything else, I'd like to have it resolved, you know, it's not fair to the people that are living there to have standing water and everything else down there that when it wasn't designed for that. Am I the only one, or do you have guys not caring?
So I wouldn't say that I don't care, I would say that, you know, in the context of what you're speaking about, I found that the developer and his engineers have tried several times to make the corrections. They've been willing to meet with us, they've been willing to meet with the town engineer, and they're providing, they're proposing solutions. So I'm willing to continue to move forward with them in good faith, because I think they've acted in good faith with us. They've never tried to not resolve the issue when it's brought to their attention. Or, I'm sure they're fully aware of it, so it's my opinion that to continue to keep a good working relationship and move forward with it, and anticipate that they will fully resolve the situation.
It's been over 2 years.
Well, I think that in the time that they've been out there, we've had unconditionally wet seasons, unusually wet seasons the past few years. That being said, they have made the corrections when we've asked them to, and they're gonna continue to make corrections as we move along. So that's my opinion. I'm certainly willing to hear other opinions on the board, so.
Anyone else want to weigh in, or just?
I just wanted to ask, Maureen, is there anything that you saw that was, you know, in terms of access, zoning, compliance, setbacks, frontage, nothing, everything seemed to comply, so I just wanted to.
Yeah, and no concerns on this. The A&R was to change one of the lot lines to accommodate overhang on one of the foundations they put in.
So relative to the conversation you two were just having, I would say that at some point we should probably put a deadline on it. And then determining what that deadline should be, maybe.
Is
have
June
that
fair?
discussion.
For
Correct.
beginning, yeah,
Correct.
beginning.
Correct.
So weather dependent, that's what our schedule is right now. So if it rains, I mean, you
I
know,
know,
with all due respect, the first time that we did try to reconstruct the basin, it ran immediately following, filled up with water and silt, and that's why we're in the position that we're in right now. We just don't wanna go and do reconstruction to the basin and then have the exact same thing happen, because that'll put us right back where we are today.
Well, the difference now as opposed to when you did it then is all the yards are in, all the units are done
Correct,
around
so
it, so.
there's less water that's going to it, but if we do get it down for immediately following reconstruction before grass has any chance to stabilize the area, it's a good chance it's gonna happen again. So we fully understand the board's wishes to have this done. We wanna have it done, Dave and Chris wanna have it done, and it's in the schedule. We're moving it forward, and as soon as the weather breaks, we're in a position to do it. And also,
So if we set, let's set a deadline based on weather. If we get 2 weeks of dry weather and you get in there within those 2 weeks and you get 2 weeks after that, can we say that in 2 weeks you'd have a stabilized base, or do you need more time than that?
I mean, ballpark, it's probably in the neighborhood, yeah.
So let's do a timeline through June if we can get
Give me till,
doesn't, I don't mean no rain, but fairly dry 2 weeks and a fairly 2 dry weeks afterwards. By the end of June, come see us, tell us how it's going.
Okay,
All right?
absolutely.
And would you be okay with that?
Yes, that sounds good.
I'm fine with
Sounds fine.
Okay. All right, we're good.
So you have the A&R in front of you?
So we're looking at it, change the line because the overhang is too close to the side setback. Does anybody have any issues with this?
No,
We've
makes
done it a few times already. You guys good?
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the A&R.
Someone
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
The second motion would be to release the lots 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18 on Spruce Street.
Okay, you had voted previously to release those lots in November. We were waiting for 3 things to happen: the roadway to be to binder, the inspections to be done, and the bond to be in place, and those 3 have now been met. So it's just a matter of endorsing the lot release that you voted before.
So it's already voted.
How many lots are remaining?
These are the final ones.
Oh, these are the final, oh, and you got your, okay, never mind.
And if I'm not mistaken, the earliest that they would come in for road acceptance would be this fall, or,
Fall town meeting, and obviously that's also pending, you know, any reconstruction and patio that we have to do.
So we have no
Does
other
the
line.
performance guarantee include, like, the items for the basin and everything that we were just talking about?
yeah, full reconstruction of those rather than just rehabilitation. if
So it
needed.
still includes it in there if you
Yeah.
need it.
It's still the bond.
What?
Still the bond. No one have to do, actually, we did pay for the 5 acres on the bond now. They don't do it, they're willing to look at it.
I'm not,
That's
it's kind of, you know, Peter's not here, I have nobody to argue with, so I'm just going along with it. You might as well start signing that.
Is there, I think one's missing, Anna.
Oh, sorry.
Mara, you want us to sign the paper one?
Yeah, if you do a couple of those, that'd be great. Thank you.
Let me get out of your way.
Brian, is it reading him?
Yeah, just in case.
You'll add today's date.
One more.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a public hearing for shared residential driveway, special permit, 27 Fort Pond Hill Road.
The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, May 2nd at 7 PM in room 103 of the Shattuck Street Town Offices to consider the application for a shared residential driveway special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, and the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning, shared residential driveways, Sections 173-125 through 173-127. The proposed shared residential driveway would serve one new house at 27 Fort Pond Hill Road and 3 existing homes at 21, 23, and 31 Fort Pond Hill Road. Applicant and owner is Sid Gellot, 27 Fort Pond Hill LLC.
Thank you.
Hi.
Okay.
So we're wrapping up the
If any of you don't know, John Field
John
and
Field.
Sid J-Watt.
and Sid, client, the owner. So in
Go ahead.
So in getting to the conclusion of this project, this is a request. This was originally approved in 2007. The driveway was partly constructed. The house was substantially completed in 2008 to 2012 period, and then work stopped on it. The order of conditions issued by the Conservation Commission expired. The disposal works construction permit for the septic system expired. The driveway was partially built to the conditions set in the original permit. Work stopped substantially in the 2012, 13, 14 period. Nothing happened until last summer when Sid bought it. Work inside the house has been completed. And now we have an order of conditions reflecting a change at the existing foundation or the existing house's garage, that previous, when we were here in December, the board directed us to consult with the fire department in terms of making a more acceptable turnaround at the end of the driveway. We met with Deputy Chief Clancy. We came up with a proposal to increase the spur length. If you look on the lower swept turn path, the right lower sketch, you can see that we propose to widen the driveway towards the lower left-hand corner and then move the retaining wall, which is on the top right, extend that up into the bank to give a longer turn path so that with a series of forwards and reverses, a vehicle could turn around. This was acceptable to Deputy Chief Clancy, and the order of conditions was issued reflecting this proposed change as well as the addition of a velocity reducer at the end of the 12-inch ABS pipe that was installed in the 2012 time period. So that order of conditions has been issued by the Conservation Commission. We're here tonight to receive the permit for the shared driveway. And I think the original conditions haven't been completed.
Do we have a list of what happened in 2012 is we all went out there, we had a site walk out there, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the residents were out there and we walked the site, we came up with the best case scenario we could come up with for that road. Do we have a copy of what those conditions were in 2012?
2006, yeah.
What was it since?
We have the special permit that was issued in 2006, and at that time, there were, 3 other residences there,
Right,
so.
but then we had a site walk.
I didn't have anything in the interim.
Didn't we all walk out there and come?
I
up
didn't
with-
have any files on the
Nothing else
interim,
on
so.
that? We did walk out there with
Yeah.
the residents were out to try to come up with a way to, I think why I'm saying that is, I thought we agreed to push the road over a little bit to get it through. Better for the residents who were there because they had stone walls and things like that. That's just off the top of my head, it was a while, but you're right. So where are you at with the original conditions that you have?
From about 300 feet from the Sid's house up, the driveway was installed in 2012, 2013. I would say is substantially in compliance with the original conditions in terms of width and thickness. But the driveway from Fort Pond Hill all the way down to past the third house, the driveway is as it was originally laid in 2004, 5, or 6. And the previous owner didn't do any of the work that was required as part of the special permit.
I'll take it this.
Yeah, and I think the.
We have a letter
fire-
from Deputy Chief Clancy.
Yeah. So I think, to me, what I'm hearing on the discussion is, the original plans have a 16-foot width,
I think it's 14.
14-foot width, so now the discussion is, how much of it do you want to see reconstructed and drainage?
Deputy Chief is here, but if I may, in his letter, he wrote reconstruction of the roadway, maintaining the 12-foot width and proper drainage on each side would be satisfactory resolution to the department. So they're at 16 to 14. If they bring it in solid at 12, the fire department has no issue, and I'm always in favor of less.
The drain and
Previous
fix
service.
the drainage,
Yeah,
they're gonna.
the drainage he makes mention
I
to.
think it's swale, isn't it? Just swales up there now, right?
There's a swale, but it doesn't go as far as the original plan proposed. It goes, again, about 300 feet from the garage up.
So
What
less
type-
is more?
What type of shoulders were you planning on preparing?
We were going to go out the full width of pavement, or if it was, if the narrower driveway was agreeable, we would have a gravel shoulder.
Okay. I mean, I'm all for less pavement all the time. My only concern is that it is a single access driveway. and it is pretty long. And so I guess with snow, thinking about plowing, and in the wintertime, if there were an emergency out there, I think I'd want to make sure that if you're going down to 12 feet paved, I'd want to have shoulders that have a good base, sub-base to them. So maybe looking at our subdivision rules and regs and trying to see what we require there for the base of the shoulders and the material of that, just so that we can, you know.
All good points. Thank you.
So John, would you be using the cross-section there and just instead of the 14 going with the smaller? Is that a
Well,
good
if you
depiction
ma-
of
if
yours?
you- if you
Is that
maintain
better?
it, so to Kristen's point, I think if you maintain the 14 feet with 12 feet of asphalt on it, you'd have a place to drop off the edge and still be safe.
Sure. As part of the order of conditions, we did address snow storage, especially as we got closer to the end of the driveway and the resource area. So I think that having a gravel shoulder, as that's shown, is acceptable.
No, so just to summarize, so we're looking at 12 feet gravel on each side, and the fire truck can do the turnaround. Okay.
Some trucks, I don't think.
I think they eliminated the ladder truck in
Yeah,
this.
I
in
think
this
that the
letter.
longer vehicles would not be able to make that turnaround, but some would, some of the short
we have
vehicles.
people, are there any residents on this road who want to speak? One at a time, and would you please say your name for Myron, please? Ma'am?
My name is Anuja Kamath. I'm from 21 Fort Pond Hill. And I kind of got a little confused. So are we doing the 14 or are we doing the 12?
12, maximum 12.
Okay, and so 12 is what is currently there, right?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that we had a fire truck come in last summer because we had the smoke alarm and they got the whole truck. It took about 15 minutes from the beginning of the driveway. And my house is the first one to come up to my house. And because the road was too narrow. So, and I can't imagine what it would be because it's like double the distance to the last house. So if
Okay?
someone wanted to know what that was, if
That's fine, but to be perfectly honest, it's your responsibility. This is a shared driveway of all of yours, to take care of it and maintain it. And if you want it wider, it's their responsibility to fix it as best they can to get to that last house, but it's also your responsibility for the roadway. As owners of the shared residential driveway, you're owners of it also. So if you guys want to widen it, then I would suggest that you all talk together to come up with improvements to it while you're doing it, all of you.
Okay, because we were told that when we bought the house that it would be 14 when the last house.
It's just as much whoever built your house, their responsibility as the person who's building the last house. It all should have been done that way. So, yes, sir.
Andrew Paul, owner of 23 Fort Pond Hill. So I fully understand that it is the requirements of the owners to maintain the I guess, integrity of that driveway. I specifically was under the impression that it was supposed to be 14 feet. The documents in the town submitted in front of you guys all say 14 feet. So I guess I kind of push back a little bit, and yes, it is our responsibility to maintain, but I would like to submit that it is the town's responsibility to put it as 14 feet in the first place.
Well, it's a private way, for starters. It was built as a private way, and
Yes.
is it 14 feet in front of your house?
No, it's not supposed to be 14 feet in front of our house. I believe it's supposed to be 14 feet to the first turnout, and then after that point, it goes 12 feet down to the end.
So is the first turnout after your house?
The first turnout is before. I believe the first turnout is,
Is mine.
Anuja's,
Lauren,
is 21.
Look at that thing, Chief. Hold on.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I just have a clarification point for Warren? For our shared residential driveway special permit, do you have the regulations right in front of you right now? Or,
Yeah,
I just wanted to,
And the meantime,
double
Deputy
check
Chief
something real
Clancy.
quick, and I apologize.
Yes, Deputy Chief.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Tom Clancy, Deputy Fire Chief. So there were 3 requirements in '06 for this driveway, including on the part from Fort Pond Hill to the first turnout, it was 14 feet wide. The balance to be 12 feet. But the turnouts were never made. There were supposed to be 2 50-foot turnouts in that original drawing for the ladder truck to back into, which were never put in. So basically, there are no turnouts. So right now, the whole road is 12-foot wide, paved. And my letter said, you know, that will suffice. Part of the trucks, our access is coming off of Fort Pond. And Chris Stoddard mentioned recently at a selectmen's meeting, they're gonna redo Fort Pond Hill Road at some point. And that will get into the turn. But the trucks can get in there. It's a question of now looking at a 13-year-old landscape to say, I want the 50-foot here and 50-foot, I don't think it makes sense. That's why when I met with John, it made more sense at the end to find a way, because of frequency, it's not gonna be a high-frequency place we go to, that if a truck could get down the bottom and do a 3-point turn and turn around and come back out, that would suffice. Because we've been, I would say we've visited at least once all the other homes in there. And it is a tricky driveway at the beginning to come off Fort Pond Hill and make that turn. But that was my understanding. You know, if I had some code-based requirement to say it must be this, I would have put it in there, but I don't. So looking at trying to get a resolution to this, that seemed to be the fairest thing. I went there Monday, and as I stated, I'd like to see the road itself in better condition. But the 12-foot seemed to be a fair way, because that's what it is now. So that's where that stemmed from.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to confirm with Maureen too. So I'm reading right now the zoning bylaw design criteria for shared residential driveways. And under design criteria, it states the minimum width of the shared driveway shall be 16 feet. I'm not seeing anything in particular about you know, how wide the shoulders have to be, but that looks like that is one of the design requirements.
Right, in 2006, the owner at the time got both the special permit from the planning board and a series of variances from the appeals board.
Okay.
And I would suggest that that's open to some interpretation as for the 16 feet, how much of it you want to have paved and how much you want to have it shoulder. But that's, you know, it's up to
I
the,
believe that's why we went out there and had the walk back
Okay.
in whenever, because you're gonna be taking people's yards that are finished to try to get the road 16 feet wide, and that's why I think we came up with, like I said, I thought,
12, 2, and 2?
yeah, I thought that's why we did it, so that we didn't have to destroy the finished yards that were already up there. There were houses built and then it was completely stopped, so I think that's why we came up with 12 feet back
Okay.
then, if I remember correctly. I'm the only one that was there, but I thought we had an agreement with the residents that that's how we're gonna do it, put a little bit of drainage in and try to minimize it so we didn't have to impact
Yeah.
their front yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't specify how much of that 16 feet needs to be paved versus how much of it are shoulders as well. But, so it sounds like,
So I appreciate that everyone went ahead and got the fire department to write this letter. In looking at the meeting notes from the October 4th, 2018 meeting, it says driveway is 13 feet 2 inches wide, but the conditions state a width of 14 is required. The applicant is recommending digging out either side of the drive to widen it to a proper 14 feet. So that was what I found from the notes that we had discussed.
So if we did 12 feet of asphalt with the 2 and 2 or 1 and 1 on each side, we get to that 14 feet with the shoulder. So if we bring the gravel up to the edge of the asphalt, maybe a safe transition from asphalt to gravel,
And we're not disrupting the residents that already have finished front yards. Anyone else back there? And is that, do you understand what we're trying to say? We're trying to stabilize the sides without taking part of your, what you think is your front yard, which is really part of the easement
Agreed.
to put this road in. Not, like I said, I think that was the problem, the issue we had 10 years ago when we originally started, when we were trying to build that house.
There were, I guess, there were two. The width, which sounds like is a fair resolution,
Okay.
and the drainage was the second one. And
So it's swales on either side, we're gonna try to continue the swales to bring them all the way back, because the low part is back where they are.
I think John has a solution proposed, if I'm not mistaken, on the plans, is that correct?
Yes.
Not, you said swales, I wasn't sure if that was
Swales, and then
correct.
it does, it goes to pipes, right? And then
Yeah,
you,
the swale runs down the high side. It should be extended up the driveway to get to at least the second house, the only house on the right side, coming up to the left side going down.
Where's the outlet?
The outlet is adjacent to the garage, the
Okay.
very low end.
come crosses and goes on the other side.
Yes, so the bottom right-hand.
Yeah, so that's the one in the corner. Anyone else have any questions or concerns? That's a third.
Sheet two.
Yes, sir.
Maybe just that Hal Baker, 3 Lillian Road. For some reason, I got a notice about this. I'm like 2 lots away from it, up on Lillian Road. But the other thing is that, is there any way you can better the language in the notices? Because I found it completely confusing. It really doesn't say what's really going on, which is basically redoing the driveway that's been in existence to a house that's been in existence, since 2006. And if I recall, I think it was a relative of his that was the one who built it. So I mean, this really, it doesn't strike me as being new.
Well, it's never been occupied, it's never been finished. So
But
it's-
still, doesn't that, I mean, well,
It is still
but the driveway's been there.
Well, yes, it was an existing,
But I mean, it seemed like the notice was very poorly written. That's the only comment I have. Is that, I mean, is there any way to like write them better?
Well, I mean, there are certain legal requirements for public hearing notices, and I would, anyone that receives one, usually says, where to contact to see the plans or, before the hearing, so, that,
Well, I
we
mean,
always do that too.
yeah,
Just
but I
to
mean, when
check.
we did that, it was also difficult to get a hold of them at first for a while. We were able to get them afterwards, but I mean, it just seemed to be like very confusing and not very well written. It's just
you didn't.
Just a thought from an idiot, sorry.
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else, by the way?
Final question?
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Would the work that we're doing involve a fresh paving down the whole thing, or is that not included in this?
Are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you, yeah. It's-
Pass it on.
I think, in fairness, if you want to talk to all the neighbors and see if you guys can come up with a resolution, he's not bound to do it, but it would make sense while you're doing the work and everything, maybe you can all talk amongst yourselves, since you guys all own the road. Now's the time to do it. Why don't we leave it at that?
Yes, just so that may I add, when, of course, I bought this thing under foreclosure, so I understand my responsibility because this is the, as is various thing. But since I bought this thing, whatever I budgeted, the funds for it, the house was practically like, okay, nothing, you have to do it, but when we started to get the building permit, the electrical inspector said, no, it's been vacant for so long, and the wires must be compromised, I gotta see everything. He let us open each and every wall and rewire the whole house, which was hugely unexpected. Again, I'm just sharing, nothing to do with you guys.
Is there a covenant on this road now? Any kind of
Yes.
covenant about maintenance and everything else?
Yes.
So why don't we leave it at, you guys want to talk about doing that as part of your covenant, and, now's the time to do it, well, you've got 4 families there, and all share the cost of doing it, while you have a contractor working there, now's the time. So maybe after the meeting, you guys can all get together
Outside.
But yeah. Anyone else? Okay, so we need to,
Can I ask the deputy fire chief a quick
No,
question?
you
So
can
you
ask
can
through the
ask me
chair.
and I can ask him.
Okay. I just want to make sure, so whatever we're doing, is that going to make it like, I was just wondering why the fire truck was taking so long to come, and is this going to solve it? Like, because, more than 15 minutes, like, after I saw the truck, it was 15 minutes before it reached my house. I was just getting a little worried that if my house was really on fire, it would probably be burnt. Or if it was like a emergency, like a, I don't know, an ambulance or something big that needed to come. So is this going to solve whatever the problem was at that time? Because it was just a
You
smoke
can have
alarm.
that one, I don't want it.
Everyone drives a little differently. So I don't have like a designated fire truck driver. I have multiple drivers and, they're.
Skill level?
Each of us have, hey, thank you. Yes, that's what I'll go with without.
They were
putting them on
learning how to
television.
drive.
So, right now, the chief is cringing. He's like, oh no, he's on TV again. There's this, everyone is trained to drive the truck, but it doesn't mean that some driveways aren't trickier, but the 15 minutes, I know when like fire alarms are going off, it seems like it takes us a long time to get there, but I think 15 minutes is a little,
Oh,
a little on the long
from
time.
after I saw the truck, so,
Ah,
yeah.
well, okay, either I couldn't find it, I don't know, but, it's an accessible road, absolutely, so the trucks can get in there, because we've been getting in there since 2006. so-
What they're gonna do is only gonna make it better, how's that?
Yeah,
Thank you.
all right,
All right, we have to finish up some business here, so.
now you're making me think I need to go up there and try it.
Close the hearing.
Stop that.
Gonna need to
Here you go,
close the
something.
hearing and take a
Happy
vote.
with that.
Don't throw.
Not have the same board members. This is your only opportunity to vote on it.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second, we is
Favor? I'll make a motion to vote to approve the shared residential driveway.
Hi, I'm Al Baker, 3 Lillicombe.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Be it paved or shoulders, I don't know, how do you want to word it?
12, 1 and 1.
Or, well, something might be 2 feet
Four.
on one, yeah, 14 feet.
14 feet wide
It's understood.
of base and minimum 12 feet wide of asphalt.
Asphalt.
Drainage as swells to the pipe to bring it to the wetlands.
And the turnaround for the
And the turnaround for the fire department. But
I was just making sure our audience heard all that because it was so loud as they were leaving.
We didn't get that last part, I'm sorry.
So we've requested, we're gonna vote on this, but the conditions of approval will be that it's a minimum of 14 feet wide, whether it's shoulders or pavement, whether it's 2 on one side or 1 and 1. The turnaround for the fire trucks at the end of the driveway on their property. The drainage to come down a swale to a pipe to cross under the road and go to head towards the wetlands way in the back. And I think that's about it.
So 12 feet paved.
12 feet paved, but 14 feet in total with shoulders on either side.
drainage as presented in the turnaround for the fire truck.
Yep. Okay. Okay? Okay, those all in favor of it signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please, if you could all kind of work together to make the best of an interesting situation, that would be great. Thank you, Mr. Fields.
No problem.
So 7:30, we do not have a 7:30. They're continuing till next month. New board. We really can't speak about it, right? We can't open and continue, or?
Well, it's not
It's not
a hearing, it
it's
was
a-
just a discussion, and
No, I don't think so. I don't think we should really discuss it until. Or do you?
So I have a quick question.
Oh.
Even though it's not here, so on the agenda, it said that Wellington had something to do with inclusionary housing. Is that accurate?
those were my notes about some of the issues that probably should be discussed.
Got it.
That was, sorry for the not being clear about that. It had been some time since the board had considered those, that subdivision.
Okay.
We have nothing left but in executive session.
That's the only thing that's
Right.
posted.
Okay, so that's everybody. So, we really don't want to talk about Wellington now, do we, right?
It's up to you.
No, without
What?
the, no, without the discussion of the other side, right?
Well, we're just talking about where we're at. No, I really don't want to talk about it until next planning board.
Yeah, Doug.
All right, so now we have to go into executive session, so we have to shut,
Well, so you gotta go, there's some protocol you have to follow.
Yep, in your,
do I have to read this?
Yes.
Public announces for the purpose of executive deciding one more of the 10 proposed. To discuss strategy with
Drop
respect.
down.
Oh, well, not that whole of it.
Doesn't-
to discuss strategy,
Yeah,
yep.
that's what I'm reading. To discuss strategy with respect to litigation relative to an appeal of the planning board's approval of Wickham Ave water treatment plant, and then we will adjourn from executive session after that.
Right, we're not going to reconvene in open session.
No, we're gonna be done once we're done with that. Okay, so I'll make a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye. Do we need
Roll call vote?
Kristen Gouchard? Aye.
Annie Houston, aye.
Ed
Mark
Mullen.
Montanari, aye.
Ed Mullen, aye.
Mr. E, aye.
Thank you.